Welcome to Midday. We're visiting first with Dr. Tracy Levins. Welcome.
Thank you.
It was really nice to visit with you last time. Tracy is a naturopathic physician. And last time we talked about kind of cold remedies and managing those. And you talked about the socks on the feet.
Yeah, the warming socks.
Yeah, so getting them wet, putting them on. And I was telling Tracy just before we came on here that right away my daughter said, I want to try that. We got to give it a go, because
So
she was all
awesome.
stuffed up. Worked like a charm.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great, yeah.
So now that we've had those tips, the next thing is stress.
Yes. So going into the new year, there are definitely some strategies that I have to share with people to kind of like combat stress going into the 2018.
And stress is kind of a word that we toss around now, but sometimes we don't define, and people are starting to, almost confuse it with other things, with tension or defining what's a stress to worry about and what's just normal stress.
Yeah, totally.
So for people to know what's kind of a normal or something that they can define as a stress response.
Yeah, so today, even with all the snow and we were just talking about the weather and traffic, and that could be a stressor. So it's anything that your central nervous system really feels threatened by. So mental, emotional, physical, environmental, so today the weather, chemical, anything that your central nervous system feels, I'm not okay with this, is a perceived stress. So your perceived stress is much different than mine.
Right.
But that central nervous system sends a relay to your adrenal glands, your stress glands. They're two little glands that sit on top of your kidneys. They produce your stress hormone, so cortisol and adrenaline. So that puts us into that fight or flight sort of protection mode. So super, super common and totally healthy to be in that protection mode, and then super healthy to...
That's your body trying to tell you something.
Yes, you're ready to fight or you're ready to flight, right? And then it's super healthy to combat that with like resting and digesting and repairing. So that's normal to do that all throughout the day. What's not normal and what we're seeing so much of now is people are stuck in that fight or flight pattern, right?
Right.
So we're trying to protect ourselves.
Yeah, and I think that's a really great point too about what one person finds stressful and triggers those responses isn't the same for everyone.
Yeah, totally.
Because I think often it's easy for us to, judge people and be like, well, I don't find social situations
very
stressful.
true, though. Yeah,
so,
very true.
it's not a big deal for that person. But it's important to realize we need to all learn to recognize for ourselves what stress looks like in us.
Yeah, totally. And
so
judgment-free.
Yeah, and what do patients say is a symptom of that? How do people recognize stress? What physiological cues does our body give us?
Yeah, so typically what I hear in my clinical setting, people, they feel fatigued all the time. Sometimes we say they feel tired but wired. So their body is like so tired, but their head is just like go, 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 and then this, and then this, and then that. Their exercise is decreased, like they don't have the stamina that they used to. We're craving salty and fatty foods, we're gaining weight, we're not able to lose weight, we have poor memory. So those are kind of the big ones that I hear patients. Yeah.
And it's interesting because I think in our society with how rushed we are and how busy we are and how everything just kind of compounds these days, a lot of us are just living in that place.
Oh, totally. And we have so much stress and we put so many demands on ourselves, and we're, even technology, they're always coming out with something better to help us multitask. And so we have phones and we have watches, and so we're never really unplugging, and
so
we're taking work home.
Stepping back, we just keep adding on, becoming more efficient, but paying a cost in the long run. And you do testing for stress response as well.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So in office, we do a cortisol test, and so we test your cortisol levels out throughout the day. So a normal response would be to have increase your highest level of cortisol secretion between 6 and 7 in the morning. This is your innate wake-up call to get up and to get going to run your day. So this is like my 3-year-old. So she bounces out of bed at 7 o'clock and she's ready to go, and she wants to play Barbies and ride her bike and do all the things, right? And then her secretion kind of declines throughout the day so that her anti-stress hormone melatonin can put her to bed. So we test that pattern throughout the day and see if the patient needs a little stimulation at some different points in the day, or if they need central nervous system relaxation.
Does that come back to you in a number? Is it a blood test?
It's a spit test, actually.
Oh, it's a spit test.
Yeah, saliva
okay.
test. So all our patients know it as.
See, and that's good to know too, because some people hear like, "Oh, you're testing. There's no way
blood,
I'm
no,
gonna-"
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's nice and easy and painless.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's infamously our spit test.
I'm super curious. You should come back on, and we'll do it throughout the day.
I would
and
like
we can
to.
do a live. That would be really
I would
fun.
like to.
And everyone can know just how
more.
stressed I really am.
We actually send it to the States, though, so the turnaround time is like 3 to 4 weeks.
Oh, awesome.
But yeah, so it's in the saliva. It measures your response throughout the day, and then it gives me an idea of exactly how to treat that gland, and just how to treat the secretion. So if you're under secreting, then how do we stimulate the gland? If you're over secreting, how do we calm that down?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's again something that people kind of feel like, well, it's on me. I have to figure out how to stress, de-stress. I
don't have time for that.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes a bath can do it.
Yep.
But sometimes we need more help than
Exactly.
that. Sometimes we need some intervention that we can't do on our own.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great. So strategies.
Okay.
That brings us to strategies.
So kind of basic strategies for everybody is to sort of avoid, replace, remove, decrease the sort of stimulants that we're using to kind of get us up and going and to get us sort of cranked up in the morning, whether it's coffee, the stimulants like alcohol, junk food, those things that make us feel really good in the moment.
And again, maybe our phones as well, right?
Exactly.
Our phone has become
Yes.
this psychological stimulant that we use.
Yeah, so it's all these things that in the short term make us feel really great, but then they actually deplete the glands and deplete the nutrients that we need for the gland.
So Tracy, are you telling me you didn't just bring me
did not.
turtles and beer? Because I got really excited. I thought, oh, she's going to reward me. I'm going to feel very de-stressed with this chocolate and beer. But
So these are examples of things that we could try to remove and instead replace them with calming teas. So one of the ones that I like to use is lemon balm for throughout the day because it's very nourishing to the central nervous system. It calms us down. So replacing these things that like transiently increase our neurotransmitters, our happy feel good neurotransmitters, with things that kind of like calm us throughout the day and sort of like ramp down that stress
and
response.
things that we don't become so dependent on.
Yeah,
right?
because it's then the next thing, right? Like, so I can't wait for my next coffee.
Right,
to
because
pick me
it's
up.
only so long that a small coffee will work, and then we need a medium coffee, and then we need a large coffee, and then we're drinking multiples a day.
Totally. Yeah. So that's my first strategy, is just try and cut out the sugar, cut out the stimulants, replace them with nourishing foods and beverages. The next thing that I would say is just to incorporate mindful practices. And so this could be the bath, it could be meditation, gentle exercise, yoga.
So we're hearing the word mindful being used a lot now in society, but it's another one of those things that people don't always define.
What does that mean?
So people hear it and think, well, mindful sounds nice, but what exactly does that mean?
Good question. So basically, the way that I interpret that is to get out of our heads, because that's where all the talk is, right? And so getting out of our heads and into our bodies. And so whether that's meditating, just deep breathing for 10 minutes a day, or doing some gentle yoga, or doing some gentle exercise, where we're just like feeling our heart rate get up in a healthy way.
Something intentional, something purposeful.
Yeah, even something like sitting down to eat your food. So when we're fighting and flighting and we're protecting ourselves, we don't work on digestion. Our digestion actually shuts down.
Interesting.
So if we consciously sit and chew our food, then we're focusing on digestion and assimilation of our nutrients from the food.
Which is also really interesting, because talking about that stress thing, and it does affect, across the board. It isn't just for adults. Our kids feel stressed too, but as far as that sitting down to eating thing, we notice in our family, if we've gone too long without a sit-down family meal, which can happen in the craziness of the scheduling, whether you try or not, but being intentional about family meals also changes our stress levels.
Yeah, and that's a perfect example of family time to reconnect and shut off the phones and get unplugged.
Exactly, phones away and conversation opens up.
Yeah, totally.
All right.
And then the next strategy is to incorporate some of the nutrients that we might be lacking. And so the adrenal glands they really need a lot of B vitamins, in particular vitamin B5. And so this is one of my supplements here that I love for that. It's a B vitamin that's just a little bit higher in B5. Vitamin C is very important. Another herb that I love for mental and physical exhaustion is Rhodiola. So it's for when we're feeling mentally and physically exhausted, when maybe there's a little bit of anxiety and insomnia, maybe a bit of depression. It's a great herb to use. And then we get, one of my other favorites is magnesium. So I get that compounded by one of our compounders that we work really closely with, Glover's Compounding Pharmacy. And so magnesium is a vasodilator. And so if we're tense all the time, our muscles are tense and our vessels are tense. And so magnesium sort of just relaxes that and increases blood flow and circulation. So a lot of people like to take magnesium at bedtime because it calms them and relaxes them.
All right. These are fantastic tips, great things for people to think about. And this, especially as we go, into the new year, we want to start off right. So thank you for joining us and giving us these great tips. Where can people find you?
So I'm at Kamloops Naturopathic Clinic downtown on Seymour.
Perfect. Thanks so much for joining us. These are great tips and good things to mull over in the weeks to come. We'll be back with more Midday in just a moment.